We begin in the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful.
Left on Red, Guided Instead, podcast is brought to you by Azwaja Matchmaking app.
Left on Red.
Got it instead.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Mustafa.
And my name's Ishan.
And I'm here with Suleiman as a guest.
Hello, my name is Suleiman. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
And we have another really popular guest among our community, Moulana Jarry Haider Zaidi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So,
And what's today's topic, Ishan?
today we're going to be talking about protests, matam, and devotion, a measure of love for Imam Hussain.
Okay. So would you like to give the argument?
So speaking on matam, some people think that it's a way of showing love, which it is, and it excuses for not doing namaz or excuses for not doing different stuff in their Islamic perspective. That matam, I'm already showing enough love that because I'm doing matam for him. Why should I pray? Why should I do this? And it's not, in a way, just a replacement. It's an add-on, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So that it adds on to like your current like love instead of a replacement for other forms of love.
Okay, so tell me something, Ishan. Why do we do matam in general?
To show love for Imam Hussain.
Perfect. Okay. Because some people, like, they say, oh, matam's bad, matam's this, it's haram, like, Sunnis, right? But I feel like if they knew the truth about it, they would change their mind completely about it. What do you think, Suleiman?
Yeah, I think one reason they might see matam as haram is because they might see some of the intense matam.
Mm-hmm.
Like in some cultures, they take matam to another level, let's say, and maybe when they see that, even some people even I would say I'm part of that community that does this intense matam, and even I would say it's not like really religious, maybe.
Yeah.
A bit extreme. Yeah.
I think
I agree.
one point that I would want to add here, firstly, it depends on which audience that we're talking to. If you're talking to Shia audience, then of course it's going to be a different answer. For Sunni audience, might be different answer because the set of system or the books that we believe in are different, right? So maybe one thing that I would quote from my books might not be binding upon them, right? That's very natural, right? So when you're giving the proof, giving the proof from their books so that you can convince them. I think one story that always I have in my heart and it's always there in almost all the Sirah books. Sirah books are the one that are written as biographies of the Prophet, right? So there is an interesting story that says when Prophet passed away, Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, right? So she said that I took the head of the Prophet and I put the head of the Prophet on my lap, but I was not able to do matam. Matam means latam. So matam we say in Urdu and Farsi. In Arabic they say latam, if you have seen that, right? So what I did that was that I took his head, placed on the side, so that I can focus on doing the latam. Latam means hitting your body with your hands on your chest and on your face. So that's what I started doing that as soon as Prophet passed away. Now, we do the matam by hitting on our chest. Somebody might do it in a different way, right? But we do understand that if somebody that has a significant importance has passed away, then the rules might be different for them versus for a normal believer. And that's always the case have been. That's why even if you go through the stories of Prophet and Sayyid al-Shuhada Imam Hussain, one last point, inshallah, we move on. I'm trying to give it from their perspective, from their books. You take Al-Mustadrak al-Sahihain, you take Musnad Ahmad, different other books that says, when Sayyid al-Shuhada Imam Hussain passed away, Sayyidah Salama saw Prophet in the dream. And Prophet was coming in. And he was looking in a very difficult situation. He was not wearing an amama, and the amama, like you would understand that he would always wear this, and somehow he had dust all over, and in that situation he explained to Sayyidah Salama that I just came and I was trying to fetch the blood of Hussein and the companions of Hussein. And I was trying to keep it at a certain place, the sacred blood of Sayyid al-Shuhada and his companions. And as soon as she heard it, so of course she was shocked too, because that was right at the time of the Asr of Ashura. So before the news would come to Medina, Sayyidah Salama actually knew it by the dream that she saw. Right? That's from Sunni books. It's there in the Shia books too. So what do I understand? It's a time of lamentation. It's time of grief. It's a time of showing your love and dedication and showing your sorrow towards Imam al-Hussein. But maybe we might differ in the intensity. Of course, I agree with you. Sunnis might not show it the way we're doing it. We might not show it like the way they're doing it. But ultimately, everybody has to show their lamentation and sorrow regarding Imam al-Hussein. That's something that we should all agree upon. As far as the other things are concerned, inshallah, that's a topic for fiqh debate. What constitutes as the right matam, what constitutes as maybe something that we can look into. But inshallah, we can talk about it later. Inshallah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so based on what you said about the matam, right? You said about how people do matam when people die.
No, not so. Basically, what I meant to say is that matam in itself is not for everyone. It's only for certain significant people that passes away. That's why we
okay.
have this ruling, and if you go through this ruling, that says anyone who sheds a tear upon us, it does not talk for every believer, upon us. This is what Imams of Ahlul Bayt are saying. If they cry upon the tragedy that befell upon us, he's going to have certain reward, this and this reward, this and this reward. We're not going into the reward section. We're going into the point in itself that it is for certain personalities. Not for everyone. For every believer, you'll be doing matam. Crying is something else. We're not talking about the crying. Crying, I don't think so. Any sane person in this world would disagree that crying is a crime, right? Everybody agrees. Sunni, Shias, Muslims, non-Muslim, they all cry upon the deceased. We're talking about matam, the intense way of demonstrating your sorrow or your lamentation. That is completely different. I want to make one quotation, right? And this quotation is from Dua of Nudba. Dua Nudba, you know, like you recite on Friday or you recite before the Eid prayers. That says, فَعَلَى الْعَطَائِبِ مِنْ أَهْلِ بَيْتِ مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلِيٍّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمَا وَآلِهِمَا فَلْيَبْكِ الْبَاكُونَ وَإِيَّاهُمْ فَلْيَنْدَبِ النَّادِبُونَ وَلِمِثْلِهِمْ فَلْيَضْرِفُ الدَّمُعُ وَلِيَصْرِخِ الصَّارِخُونَ وَيَضِجُّ الزَّاجُونَ وَيَعِجُّ الْعَاجُونَ. Now, there's 7 or 8 things that Imam Sahib al-Zaman has mentioned. Then on the likes of Ahlul Bayt, the people like Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Prophet and their family, people should cry. People should lament. People should grieve. People should scream. People should wail. People should show their utmost sorrow and grief upon the family of Prophet and family of Amir al-Mu'mineen. So I mean, like, there are so many things, significant things that Imam has said. Then Imam said, أَيْنَ الْحَسَنُ وَالْحُسَيْنِ أَيْنَ أَبْنَاءُ الْحُسَيْنِ. It's a long passage, inshallah. We can quote it in a different other place too. But it's a beautiful passage that you go through that talks about some of the rituals that we should do at least concerning the family of the Prophet.
Okay, so I have an idea. Let's say if I propose a topic, I want them to give us an answer, and then you give us a final conclusion, and then your
course.
final answer.
Of course. 100%,
Okay?
yeah.
So, I have a question, and the question is matam permissible? Because you're hurting your body, and you're supposed to keep your body pure for Allah. So you're hitting your body, you're bruising your body. And let's say, yes, the bruises go away and that stuff, but zanjir matam still leaves scars, right?
Okay.
And that's a form of matam.
Yeah.
So is it fully permissible to do matam? Because if it's not, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, for Zanjir Matam, people say, like, it's a mix of opinions, right? So some people say, oh, it's allowed, but it's like, you don't get good deeds from it. Or it's makruh, so it's not haram nor halal. It's just,
Yeah, right in the middle. Yeah.
right in the middle, you could say.
So I think Zanjir Matam, like, I think that should, like, it probably isn't permissible, or I would say it isn't permissible because you're doing, like, potentially, like for, like, permanent damage to your body. And where Matam, while it does, it can bruise you and whatnot. I believe they used to do Matam back directly after Ashura, and it's like a way to show your grief a bit. So I think that would be permissible.
But I feel like there's different ways to show grief. Like there's so many ways. Why does hurting your body and making your body more unpure for Allah is a way of grief, and it should be like looked up upon? That's what just I don't understand.
Maybe I guess you could put it this way. But you I don't know. I just feel. Do you have a better answer, Moulana?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for your answer because it's an interesting
we're
discussion,
left
right?
stuck
But
here.
if you, yeah, so let me add my 2 cents in it. See, the thing is that I personally would have so many opinions regarding something, but I do understand that we do have personal opinions, but what opinions that matters the most are the opinions of what is being deducted through Quran and Hadith, right? And of course, here I can guarantee you're not talking about your personal opinion. You're trying to extract it from Quran and Hadith, likewise, this brother and this brother, right? But what I understand is that we go to the experts and see what they have said about this matam. Just coming to the point of hurting the body or not, hurting the body in itself, there are certain ways if you hurt your body that's going to be impermissible. That's what every scholar have mentioned. Like imagine you're hurting your body and you lose a limb. You're hurting a body, you lose a bone. You're hurting your body and God forbid आपने ऐसे hurt करी कि like you're close to your death, right? In all these stages, I think we all are unanimous. Nobody can hurt their body like this, right? But hurting it in a way where you are extremely have this conviction and certitude that nothing is going to happen of this kind, then in itself, hurting the body in itself like that is not going to make it impermissible, right? That's the ruling, right? It's like playing boxing. Boxing, is it allowed or not? You go to Sunni or Shia scholars, they will be like, yes, it's completely permissible. I have not heard one single scholar that's saying it's not impermissible. It's like disallowed, right? Everybody says it's allowed, right? You're hurting the body. You're actually hurting the body big time, right?
Yeah.
But it says that, it makes you stronger. It makes you, like physically and mentally very strong, right? Hurting the body, working at a 44 Celsius, heat wave came in a few days back. I didn't like it, to be honest. I wasn't expecting. It was so difficult. Last Monday, actually. But see, some laborers are working on the streets. They're hurting their body, to be honest. They are hurting their body. Does it make it impermissible for them to work at that heat environment? No, everybody is going to praise them for what they're doing. They're looking after themselves, their families, and whatnot. It's hurting their body, but not every way the body is hurt, it makes it impermissible naturally, right? So it's only impermissible if it leads to death, it leads to losing a bone, losing a limb, or something very serious that's going to hurt you in coming years. Something significant happen.
I just have a
Yeah.
thing, right? If it's impermissible if you're gonna harm yourself permanently or
Yeah.
like badly harm yourself, does that mean the stronger you are, the less permissible it is to do matam?
That's a very nice question. Of course, that comes into your physical strength, your physical body, everything. Like imagine a person who barely can, afford a punch, let alone anything, right? For him, maybe that intense matam might not be allowed, right? So scholars are going to give us the rules, right? Now, the application of the rules are dependent upon you and me. It's always going to be customized. It's never going to be standard. That's a standard answer for everyone. For a body that is very strong, it might work. For someone who is elderly or is a senior person, if you do zanjir one time, he's going to do inna lillah, right? So for them, maybe it's not allowed, right? It depends from like person to person. Of course, very valid point that he raised. So that's one part of the thing. Second part of the thing is, as far as zanjir is concerned, as far as all those rituals are concerned in which you are actually taking out your blood, right? That happens, right? So now we do have difference of opinion among the scholars. And I always say, what I feel here is that you follow the scholar. Like you can have your own personal opinion, but you try to follow the scholar. Who are you following? And let's try to agree to disagree on certain things, to be honest, right? nobody is going to be less azadar if he's not doing zanjir. And the person who's not doing zanjir should not make fun of the one who is doing zanjir, because he's trying to please Abu Abdullah in his way, he's trying to please Abu Abdullah in his way. That's what I think, right? So let's agree to disagree here, because there's so much division within our own people because of this zanjir kamat and whatnot. That one thing I have learned is that you follow who your marja is and you agree to disagree on certain things. Inshallah.
Completely agree.
Yeah, but so let's say
Yeah.
overall, when we get to Jannah,
Yeah.
right? Let's say Zanjir Matam wasn't permissible, right?
Yeah.
And the people that did Zanjir Matam,
Yeah.
right? They have to talk with everyone, but they did Zanjir Matam. Will they get punished for doing Zanjir
Wonderful
Matam?
question. That is actually a good question. You guys have an answer?
Yeah, I think I
Please.
know the answer to that one. I think since they didn't know it was a sin at the time, they wouldn't like get any punishment. But like since the answers are quite different, like some people permissible, some not permissible, you'll never really know until you get to Jannah. And when you do, then you'll know the answer. But at the end of the day, if you didn't know, then you wouldn't get punished for it.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'd
How
say
about you?
I'd say around like the same thing where if you didn't know, then it wouldn't count as like a sin, but I'd say it depends on how much you know. Where if you know that like harming your body in like to the extreme
To an extreme, yeah, of
is,
course.
is like not permissible, and you still do it, then I would say that's like count.
I think, don't you think this should apply to every ruling here, not only to Zanjir? Zanjir is part of one of the rulings. Imagine if certain thing is najis, if you touch that najis thing, and then you do the wudu is not right unless you purify that thing. If wudu is not right, your prayers are not accepted. That's the way it is. On the day of judgment, if Allah tells you, the thing that you touch on this and this date when you were doing the podcast was najis, and your wudu is batil, your namaz is batil and everything, what is going to be my answer? My answer is, God, I did
didn't
not
know.
know that there was najis. You have told me if you don't know certain thing is najis or not. You treat it as pak, you treat it as pure, right? Same thing goes for the people that are doing it. If they're actually following a religious authority that had the right knowledge and they think had immense knowledge about a certain topic, and they're following the opinion what they have deducted from Quran and the hadith of Ahlul Bayt, and on the day of judgment, if they come to know that the ruling was not right, they're not liable to answer. That faqih is going to answer, the jurist is going to answer, and jurist is going to answer that what I researched from Quran and hadith, whatever I came to this conclusion. Allah would never do injustice with anyone if they have used their intellect completely. That's just the rule, right? I use my inna Allah la yadhlimu mithqala dharratin. Allah will never do an injustice with someone, even if it means an atom, even if it means an iota. Not even the least. So if somebody has their hujjat, and same goes for the other one. Let's suppose it was permissible. Somebody treated as impermissible, but he said I was following my faqih. So what about it? You made something haram that was halal by Allah Almighty. That itself is not right. You get my point? Yeah. So we, at the end of the day, you, me, and all of us, we're sitting, we might have personal opinions. But what I do think so is that personal opinions are good. That gives you a little bit of like that intelligence, that deep thinking that we all need to have. But at the same time, our religious authorities that have worked for years and years, that have extracted the rulings, we're going to depend upon their research. And this is a significant point, because there's Facebook debates, WhatsApp debate, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere people are having discussion and debate. Let's agree to disagree here, right? It's important here, because nobody's going to be bigger azadar if somebody's not doing it for the sake of love of Hussain and sake of love of Hussain. We all are trying to get closer to Abu Abdullah.
Yeah.
Perhaps we have different ways of approaching that.
Yeah,
Right.
I completely agree. And now I feel like we should come to a conclusion.
Yeah.
Sean, would you like to give it? Or should I
Okay,
give it?
sure. So in conclusion, in my eyes, I see that we have to agree to disagree, as he said, because some people have different thoughts on this situation. I feel like a certain way, and others might feel a different way. So I feel like Zanjir Matam is permissible for some, unpermissible for others, and
It all depends on your knowledge
Yeah.
as well.
it all depends on what you know and what you're trying to do for your deen.
Exactly. So let's come to the
Any-
ending. So I'm Mustafa. I'm your co-host.
I'm Ishan. I'm your host.
And this is Suleiman, our guest for today.
And this is our other guest, Syed Jarry Haider Zaidi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hosting me.
Yeah, thank you guys for
Of
having
course,
me.
of course. Left on red.
Got it instead.
Left on Red, Guided Instead podcast is brought to you by Azwaja Matchmaking app.